all these guys, there's some great ovens out there. And if you want to make them better, put a biscotto stone in it, and you'll see the difference.
In this video, I speak with James, the founder of Forno Bravo. James shares his own pizza journey, which includes learning how to build pizza ovens from scratch. He also talks about his latest venture, which is Biscotto Pizza Stone. So, Albert Grande, I'm talking to James from the founder of Forno Bravo.
Right.
And we kind of have been chatting a little bit about how you got started. And
Right.
you built two ovens. What type of ovens were they, James?
Right. They were Alan Scott ovens.
Okay.
So
What are Alan Scott ovens? I'm sorry.
For your older listeners, and people who go back that far. Alan, great guy. He was the father of the handmade brick oven coming out of the 80s and the 90s. He wrote a book. He worked with a couple of other guys. They wrote Bread Builders. And these were real chunky, high thermal mass brick bread ovens.
Right.
Not sure how else to put it. So with Alan, you paid $100 and you got a hand-drawn set of plans that had a ton of holes in them. Like how do you do this? And then that part of the manual would be completely missing.
Right. Okay.
It had like the shopping list, and it would say, oh, you could go find this, fire clay. You could go find this, vermiculite to make, insulating concrete. And you go, gee, that's nice, and you call up all the material supply stores and you say, I'd like to buy this stuff. And they would talk, they look at you like you were crazy. They never heard of it. And
sure.
Eventually I found all the stuff. And I cut plywood molds and I made arches and walls and stacked a bunch of bricks. It depends how long you want this interview to go, because I could stop there and say it was great and I built these two ovens. But what actually happened was the first time I took one of the forms out from the first course of my oven dome, it fell in because I wasn't cutting my forms correctly.
Okay.
So I literally called Alan and I found him in Petaluma, and it turned out he was like an hour from where I lived. And Alan and I finished my first oven together. He came to the house and he told me everything I was doing wrong, and we finished it together. And it was like a watershed. It was one of those crazy, serendipitous, life-defining moments where you're like, oh, I get it. This thing is, I always knew, because like I say, I'd been sticking bricks in barbecues and gas grills and in my home ovens. I'd go on a trip, I'd put them in an oven in this, whatever house we were renting, just to see how all the ovens, different ovens work. I knew that there was something out there sort of like intellectually, but you build this oven and then you start using it and you're like, oh, I see what everybody's been talking about. These things are incredible. Changes everything. Changes the way, it just doesn't change the way you cook pizza. Changes the way you grill, the way you barbecue, the way you roast. You invite friends over, everybody. This is like 2001.
Okay.
There were very few imported ovens. The internet was pretty much in its infancy. So the idea that people could easily, go Google what was going on in Italy, nobody had the slightest idea what was going on in Italy. So yeah, I just saw it firsthand and it's like, oh yeah, this is great. I have to go do this. So yeah, I retired, or whatever the right word was, from Silicon Valley. Had a lot of freedom to explore ideas and to explore sort of a new opportunity. So literally we took our two kids, school-age kids, and we went to Italy for a sabbatical.
Chapter 2. Okay, so here you're in Italy.
So now we're in Italy for a 1-year sabbatical, which stretched into 3. Had a fabulous time, met great people, had 2 different rental houses and built an Italian precast oven in each of the 2 houses, bought 2 different ones to see how they worked and how you assembled them. And I have all these fabulous life experiences. The first time is I'm like working on it, like literally in the garden. And the gardener walks up and starts telling me everything I'm doing wrong. So yeah, you start going, oh, I get it. Like the Italians really use these things. They really know how to build them. That you can really buy one at the Italian equivalent of Home Depot. It's like, this is like a way of life. And I'm like, oh, all right, I can bring this back to America.
And
that became Forno Bravo.
okay.
Yeah. which was what, 2002, 2003.
Okay.
So I'm on sabbatical in Italy. I'm sitting on a beautiful terrace looking out over vineyards, and I start working on a website. I start looking for suppliers to buy stuff from, to kind of package this experience to make it sort of accessible to the US market. So
Okay.
chapter one is, or two, or whatever, is that Forno Bravo starts off importing ovens from Italian manufacturers.
Okay.
And pizza tools from Italian manufacturers, who were very hard to find, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
pre-internet, Italian companies weren't putting themselves on the web. It was like word of mouth. I would ask somebody to find something for me, and they'd like send me an email, and I'd call them, and they wouldn't speak English. And my Italian at that point was moderate. My Italian's pretty good now. My Italian at that point was pretty moderate. So I'm trying to navigate this whole thing in Italian. It was a fun experience.
Okay. So Forno Bravo in its infancy is importing these Italian pizza ovens and pizza tools to the US and then marketing.
And we build a website, and people find us. And we start selling ovens pretty much right away. And I always had one theory about Forno Bravo, which is sort of my view of the world, which is that it was a company focused on high quality, but reasonable prices. I mean, I've always been a believer that you should provide a better product at a fair price. I've never been a luxury product kind of guy. I don't understand $300 blue jeans I mean, there are pizza ovens out there today that are perfectly average that cost $7,000, which just makes absolutely no sense to me, other than they're trying to market them as luxury brands.
Right.
And it's like, it's a pizza oven. It's not a luxury brand.
Sure.
So we charged a fair price for a high quality product. And we started selling stuff pretty quickly, and we grew every year until, let's see, 2008, right? So in 2008, when everything went to hell with the Great Recession, our sales continued to grow through all the way through the recession, just not by as much as they had before.
Previous. Now, there came a point though when Forno Bravo was manufacturing their own ovens.
Well, that was the majority of it. So and I can say this sort of nicely, we had issues with our vendors.
Okay.
Right. Italian producers. So, and I, this isn't the right forum to talk about what those issues are.
Okay.
But
it's fine.
We're building a business, we're
going to we'll take the high road, James. That's fine.
Thank you.
That's fine. Thanks.
So in a sense, it was like, and besides, it was a good, I
want to pull back the onion layers here. So not only, Forno Bravo, you made great ovens. And I mean, people.
Absolutely. We're just focusing on the early days. The ovens that he designed and manufacture are fabulous.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel very.
Also, here's what I loved about Forno Bravo, and I still love it about them. Not only did you manufacture, I mean, you're in business, you want to sell pizza ovens, you're putting that out there, but you said, hey, listen, if you want to build your own oven, I got some plans for a Pompeii oven, and I'm going to show you step by step how to do it.
And they're free.
Yeah, and they're free, and they're still up there. I mean, they're still there.
And we built the user, and we built the user group.
You built the user, absolutely, from the ground up.
And that's still up there. And I mean, and this was in the pre-social media days. The Forno Bravo forum had enormous traffic. Enormous, because people were hanging out and talking about cooking and making ovens and pizza and all the stuff that they do on social media today.
Yes.
We were all hanging out on Forno Bravo and just having a blast. I mean, it was just like a guy would finish an oven and he'd start showing photos of his, like what he's cooking in it. And it was it was a really fun time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I built the first one that we made. This is a true story. The first oven that we made ourselves, I literally built it in the garage with a plywood mold and a guy who was a carpenter who had worked on our house.
Okay.
So this is a true story. It is a garage. It is a garage. You know, at that point, we had a warehouse for imported stuff.
Sure.
We didn't have a manufacturing facility.
Sure. So
yeah,
your garage, a garage band story.
There you go.
Big time. You know,
I love that oven.
Yeah.
And it's the Primavera, which to this day still sells like it sells great. I mean, it's this, I love that oven. It's, 24, 28 inches. It's not so heavy that two big, strong guys can't put it where you need to put it.
Yeah.
You don't need to assemble it. It's big enough. And you know what? The market has really taken off for these stainless steel ovens. Those ovens are essentially the same size as the Primavera. We just got there real early.
Yep. I see.
So that oven really well.
Okay.
And then that led into, total mainstream ovens. We made the Casa, which is the 2-inch thick dome and the 2-inch thick floor with a fabulous high-end insulation and a chimney and a fair price in a bunch of sizes, right? All the way from 32 up to 44 inches. And then we did a premium version of that. And then we did all the commercial ovens. We ID'd all the fabulous insulation, all the chimneys. You buy a Forno Bravo oven kit and you are getting an ultra premium product at a what I consider to be a fair price, and it still is.
Yeah.
They, the really super great bunch of guys bought the company. They're extending it. I think everyone's totally happy.
Yeah, and I just would have to add, I have another friend here in Hawaii, James, who owns a wood-fired mobile pizza oven, and he explained how he bought a Forno Bravo kit, put it together, and got lots and lots of help from them as he was going through it. So the legacy is continuing to this very day.
Absolutely. So I think that's always been a good, my background is marketing. That's what I did, for my profession, my main career before I got into Forno Bravo. And I always deeply, deeply believed in providing value.
Okay, great.
And still do. And it's how I live my life. I don't buy luxury stuff. It's not my style. It's not my lifestyle.
Okay, that sounds great. So after a while,
right,
shockingly, you decide, well, I'm going to let go of Forno Bravo. So you decide.
Now that I could quite easily explain.
Okay. So explain a little bit.
Yeah. So our kids, the first step of all of this is that my wife is English, and that we met in the UK, not in the United States. And we have spent a lot of our lives in Europe. Mm-hmm. That's sort of part one. Part two is that our kids grew up. Isn't that weird? And they left us. It was so, it was so incredibly inconsiderate of them. So yeah, our second daughter went away to school, and we were in California, and we had one daughter in Chicago at the University of Chicago, and our second daughter was in New York, and we were in California. So you were like, well, okay, this doesn't really make sense. We need to figure out the next step. And leaving California was going to be the next step. So that was why we decided to sell the company.
Okay.
The company was riding high. The company had a great COO. It was a turnkey thing. But it was like, do you want to own something like that when you're like not around very much?
Sure.
And anyways, we didn't. So, and it was a turnkey business. It had a long track record. Sure. And, whatever, great customer base, great dealer network, super products. And so it was not difficult to sell it.
Okay. So you let go. And
we just let go.
And,
let go.
And I have to say, in the time that you're doing Forno Bravo, I'd have to go back into my archives, but somehow we connected, and I did an interview or two with you, and we talked about it, which was great. And the question is, are you still making pizza?
All right. Wow. This is a hard one. The first thing to know is that up until about a year ago, I was a very serious endurance athlete. Ran a very fast marathon, kind of age group elite-ish, some pretty high finishes at the Boston Marathon. I did ultras, I did Ironman. I gave it 15 years of my life, and I was very into it. I pushed my body very hard, and I ended up gluten intolerant.
No kidding, James.
Is there a bit of irony there?
There is. Oh my
I
God.
know. I think that looking back on it, well, I know I overdid it, right? The doctors all told me that I really was like, I gotta quit. I was overdoing it. I was overdoing my body.
Okay.
So I stopped running about, I don't know, less than a year ago.
Right.
And the number of things that I can eat without having issues has gone way up. And so yes, so isn't it a weird story though?
Yeah,
So
that's how.
time.
Wow. I thought we were having a great romantic
gluten.
comedy, and it turned into a tragedy. Oh my goodness.
I know. Yeah, I learned to make a pretty decent gluten-free pizza, but it's truly not the same.
Okay.
Is that a crazy story?
Yeah. No.
Anyway, so now I am back. Like I say, the number of foods I eat and my food range has gone way back up, and I'm just not kind of overdoing it with
Okay.
with the physical body.
Okay.
So I own an Ooni. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
No,
That's
I
great.
own an Ooni, and we bought a new house, and we are building a pizza oven in the backyard as we speak. My backyard has got a big hole in it, and we're on our way. We're on our way to have a brick oven. A brick oven in the spring.
So I have an Ooni as well. I love the Ooni. I think it's great. For a portable way to make pizza, and in my lifestyle, it's perfect. It's perfect for where I live and stuff.
I've been looking at your Instagram page, and you make a great Ooni pizza.
Oh, thank you. And so let's go. And now we have a new chapter.
We have a new chapter.
And that is your new business. It's this, and I am going to
pronounce it for me. I know.
Pronounce it for me, please.
Okay, so I just love this, which is that all the Forno Bravo product names were Italian names, Giardino and whatever, Casa and all these Italian names, and so many people can't pronounce that because Italian pronunciations are so difficult. It's biscotto. So biscotti, like an Italian cookie,
right?
So these are biscotto, which is the word for what is it? It is a clay cooking floor. It's a pizza stone. It's a pizza baking stone. It's the floor of your oven. So they're called Biscotto di Sorento because they're made in Sorrento.
Okay.
What's interesting is that if you really get into pizza Napolitana culture with the Verace Pizza Napolitana Association and all those beautiful dome-shaped ovens in all the Naples restaurants, Caputo pizza flour, all of that pure. And I got introduced to the Naples crowd when we were living in Italy, because I'm making bunches of phone calls and getting introduced to people. And somebody says, "Oh, you really got to know. You have to learn pizza Napolitana. It's not Italian pizza. It's pizza Napolitana. It's different than anywhere else in Italy, and it's the best pizza in the world."
Okay, so fine. I don't want to digress, but what is pizza Napolitana? Define it. Explain
pizza
it.
Pizza Napolitana is defined by making a particular kind of pizza in these very hot ovens.
Hot ovens, okay.
So
they cook very quickly.
So you're cooking a 60 to 90 second pizza. Your pizza oven is 850 degrees. It's 900 degrees. And you're using authentic Italian ingredients.
Okay.
You're using a high-end Tipo 00 flour. But Tipo 00 only determines how the flour is milled and how fine it is and like ash content and stuff like that. It's like a standard. So there are Tipo 00 pizzeria flours from, let's say, Molino Caputo, which is by far the best.
Absolutely. The Maserati of flours.
And it's the best. Fred Mortati the other day said that they passed the flour back and forth over the mill like 23 times.
Wow. You
can't run it fast because it gets hot and that breaks the texture. So you got to run it really slowly, but you got to get it fine and you got to pick the right grains. I mean, this is like real science.
Sure.
And it's like a real product. So we got introduced to, the pizza school in Naples. We got introduced to the Caputo family. We met some of the oven producers a long time ago, like in 2000, figure it out, 6 or 7 or 3 or 5. So I met all these people and I learned all of these things. Forno Bravo Forno Bravo understands pizza. Oh no, and Forno Bravo makes the Napoli oven with the beautiful dome shape and the brick tiles. You could buy one of those and put it in your backyard, and it looks.
Yep.
I mean, it looks great, right?
Sure.
It looks like a real Naples pizzeria.
Right.
So, and you know, and the cornicione is very puffy, and the texture of the pizza is pretty light, and it's soupy in the middle, and so there are all these hallmarks, right? Leopard spot.
Perfect.
So there's all of these hallmarks. So if you really get into pizza Napolitana, and that's, I mean, this is what got like the Ooni and the Gosney people, who they were just coming on right when we were exiting Forno Bravo. They're brilliant idea.
Yes.
You know, to get this small cooking appliance up to 850, 900 degrees and pop out 90-second pizzas.
Yes.
Wow, amazing. I mean, they're not, it's really quite funny because I mean, they're not really a traditional black pizza oven in the sense that the heat source and the pizza are in the same oven dome.
Yep.
What there are really is a white oven, which is that it's got a burner in the back that blows a bunch of heat across the oven, and brings it up to temperature. Again.
Okay. Gotcha.
Really
so really we got biscotto.
Okay. So
we got the biscotto stones.
But what people don't really know, and which I hope we can get word out, is that the cooking floor in all those Naples pizza ovens, the famous ones, Ferrara, Acunto, you just wander through Naples with all those ovens, all the stones are made out of biscotto.
Oh, okay.
All of them.
Like and 90. So what is biscotto? What is
biscotto? Biscotto is clay, pumice, ash, natural materials found in the valleys below Mount Vesuvius.
Okay. Okay.
So it's very porous because it has volcanic pumice and ash in it. It's clay based. And it's natural. So like a fire brick is like alumina and silica and a bunch of refined ingredients, modern ingredients, that somebody puts in a mold and dries and compresses and fires. And it's got X% of alumina, which is very hard, very resistant to cracking, and it's very highly conductive. It conducts heat very, very quickly. Quarterate is similar and even less porous than a fire brick.
Okay.
Biscotto is a natural clay product that is very porous with very low thermal conductivity, which means it absorbs a huge amount of heat and then it slowly releases it into your pizzas. So you can cook a 900-degree pizza in 60 or 90 seconds without worrying about burning the bottom and the sides.
Wow.
And the industry is built on biscotto.
Right. Okay.
But nobody knows this.
Okay.
I mean, so, you know, enthusiasts.
If I buy an Acunto oven,
right,
it has a biscotto base. Correct. Is that what you're saying?
Handmade. They make them in molds out of clay.
Okay.
They air dry for a couple of weeks. They put them in a brick-lined wood-fired kiln, and they fire them to like 1900 degrees into these pie-shaped pieces, and that's the floor of a Naples pizza.
That is fascinating. That is very interesting.
I think it's the coolest. It's the coolest thing. So now think about your Ooni, or honestly, think about a Forno Bravo, or anybody who's trying to cook. Because I cooked a lot of 3-minute pizzas at 750 in my day, right?
Yeah.
I'm the casual pizza chef, unless I'm really trying hard. Because when you're up at 900 degrees, it's like a juggling act, right? It's a pretty high wire act. What you're trying to do is get the top and the bottom both cooked. You're trying to get leopard spots. You're trying to not burn the bottom. You're trying to get a nice char in your cheese, right? It's hard.
Yep.
So the problem is that pick an Ooni, pick any nice high-end brick or cast pizza oven or a metal pizza oven. What typically happens is that the floor gets too hot and it starts transferring heat into the bottom, and that's when you start juggling with burning the bottom of your pizza. I've lived that. I mean, people, I just say I've had my head in more pizza ovens than most people have, because it was like a career. And again, I'm not a great pizza chef, but I mean, I've lived this, I've seen this. So you say, how are they effortlessly making these beautiful pizzas in 60 seconds? And they're just powering through them. These pizzaiolos are fabulous in Naples. And it's like one of the, I don't know, accidentally best kept secrets is the cooking floor.
Wow, that is incredible. So through this, you've decided to come up with Biscotto.
A pure startup. This
Biscotto
is
di Sorento.
Biscotto di Sorento is the name of the company and it's the name of the product.
Okay.
And so what we do is we buy slabs of Biscotto di Sorento from, there's a handful of producers.
Okay.
If the internet, the web has come along, if you Google
Yeah,
and
you could
if
find
you
it.
Google and search hard enough, you can figure out who the manufacturers are. And there used to be a whole lot more of them, and it sort of kind of got down to like a kind of a small, kind of manageable number of because I mean it's very traditional, it's very labor intensive, it's very skill intensive, to make these things properly. And you need, I mean, it's this crazy stuff, right? You need a brick lined wood fired kiln, to fire these things, to take them from the mud gray natural, natural clay. And by the way, Impruneta, the beautiful terracotta pots with all the decoration,
yes,
in Tuscany, the process is the same. The clay is different, but the process is the same. That's how you get from a mud gray vase to a beautiful red vase with a high metal content that goes ding, ding. When you tap it, that will never crack and frost and last forever. Similar process, actually. So we buy slabs of Biscotto di Sorento from one of the manufacturers. And then rather than, these things are made by hand.
Right.
With wooden molds or old metal molds. And it works perfectly if you're going to put one on an oven and then kind of build an oven around it.
Right.
But it doesn't work quite so perfectly when you need to slide one perfectly into an Ooni that's made by a computer.
Yep.
Right. The Ooni has these tolerances that are just like, nope, sorry. They make Oonis by the, God knows, millions.
Yep.
Or whatever.
Sure.
So the stone has to fit. So rather than dealing with worrying about the stone fitting, we buy slabs and then we cut and calibrate and bevel and throw away bad material with big humps or big divots in it. So we basically make very nice stones that fit, that are truly authentic. That so that that they're going to fit.
Okay, so my question, as I said, we always take the high road. That's how I am, James. But when I buy an Ooni, it doesn't say, "Oh, you got to buy Biscotto." I mean, how do you go from what's inside the Ooni and being the high road to Biscotto?
Super. That's a really good question, because how do we want to be super successful at this business and not spend all of our time saying how terrible Ooni is, because they're wonderful.
Right.
Okay. An Ooni stone, pick a 12-inch Ooni, a fire, blah, blah, blah. They're all, you just pick a 12-inch Ooni on it. Okay. Number one, the stone's made of quarterite. Okay. Which is a shock resistant, long lasting, crack resistant, dense, highly conductive material. Okay. That's what everybody's pizza stones are made out of. Sure. Right? There's God knows how many pizza stones there are on Amazon to buy, but there's a lot. Yep. Right. So I don't blame Ooni. They buy 12.3 or whatever inch quarterite pizza stone squares that slide nicely into those 12-inch ovens. They're 0.4 of an inch thick. Okay. That's thin. All right. That's thinner probably than the pizza stone you have in your conventional oven. Okay. So there's a couple of issues. The first is that the face of it gets hot quickly, and it conducts that heat into the bottom of your pizza very quickly. So the first issue is burning. Okay. The second issue is that because it's very thin and it's very conductive, it's basically chucking all of that heat that it absorbed into the bottom of your pizza. Right. So for the next pizza, or the pizza after that, or the pizza after that, or the pizza after that, the stone really isn't retaining any heat. That's right. Notice that. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So with a Biscotto stone, and you mentally picture an Ooni, right? It says, "Oh, take the stone out," right? You put your little finger under the little thing in the bottom, and you take the stone out. Yeah. In the quarterite stone. So now picture sliding back in. No screwdriver, nothing, right? Just sliding in a 0.8 of an inch Biscotto stone. Okay. So now you get all of these advantages, right? The first is that it's going to easily absorb all of this heat, but it's not going to like store it all in that outer face and then like quickly transfer it into the first pizza. It's a real pizza oven. It's a real pizza oven stone.
Yep.
It'll absorb that heat into its thermal mass.
Yep.
So the longer you heat it, it will just absorb and absorb and absorb that heat and then transfer it into the bottom of your pizza that is conducive to the top and the bottom cooking at the same time.
Okay. That sounds like a better mousetrap then.
It's a better mousetrap. So you're like, you can tell the story without saying that an Ooni's a bad oven, right?
No, right, of course.
It's not a bad oven.
No.
I mean, Ooni is like shockingly successul. I mean, it's a phenomenon. I mean, they're not a publicly traded company, but they put their but they make their results public, and you can see them. And I mean, they sell a lot of.
Oh, they do. No,
a lot of wonderful pizza ovens. Yeah, and is a Biscotto stone right for everybody? It's like, well, no. I mean, it's really for the enthusiast who wants to make better pizza and maybe more pizzas in a row.
Okay.
So Ooni has, wow, we all did market adoption curves, right? So Ooni has lived through, the innovator, the early mass market, and they're just sitting there right in the middle of the mass market, selling tons of these things, and people are really good at it. Have you seen how? I mean, if you read Reddit or something,
sure,
people are like, here's my third pizza, and you look at it, and, oh wow, this guy's like, he's got it, he's in pizzas. But there's still the innovators and the early adopters who really want their Ooni to act more like a Naples pizzeria pizza oven.
All right.
They know what they're doing. They know how to keep these things hot. These guys, they're better at their dough than I am.
Sure.
And the funny part is, if you read some user groups, there are people out there saying, do you know where to buy one of these? I want one. My friend, he like imported one straight from like the guy who made it in Italy. Did it get stuck in customs? I'm not sure, but so I mean, when you're willing to give somebody in Europe money, to get converted into euros for him to ship it to you and hope it doesn't get stuck in customs and hope it didn't break and hope it fits. Isn't that the definition of an enthusiast?
Yeah. So Biscottos, not only, we're not going to limit it to Ooni. You do the big green egg. You do
big green egg, Gosney, the rectangular pieces, so that you can do an Alpha Forni or a Fontana Forni or a Clementi or any one of the millions of copiers out there.
Okay.
And we do right now, we do a 39-inch, 100 centimeter rounds for DIY oven builders.
Okay. How about
I have a soft spot in my heart for DIY oven builders.
Sure. How about for the guy that doesn't have an Ooni? Will they work in a home oven?
No, I love this story. If you want, this is like, in life when people ask questions and they say, oh, it really depends or whatever. It's like, this is not one of those. This is like, what pizza stone should you put in your conventional oven at home? And the answer is buy a pizza steel, period.
Okay. Yes.
End of story. So pizza stones, the old-fashioned pizza stone that we all kind of grew up and grew to love, they transfer heat way faster than a Biscotto stone does, but not as fast as a pizza steel. And the issue with making good pizza in a conventional oven is getting heat into your pizza. So high, because you only have 500, 525.
Exactly.
To mess with. So the faster you can store it in your stone and get it into your pizza, the better. But a high thermal mass, low thermal transfer rate material in a conventional pizza oven is a recipe for a disaster, because it's like, it's still soaking up heat and it's going, no, I want to get to 900 degrees. Where's all my heat?
Right.
And it's sucking up heat and it's not transferring anything into the oven, into the pizza.
So so the home, and I have a couple of pizza steels in my own home oven. So you'd have to say, for the home guy, stick with the pizza steel.
Exactly.
But if you want to go to a different level with your Ooni,
Ooni, Gosney, Alpha,
Biscotto.
Vanna,
Biscotto.
Carbon, all these guys. There's some great, great ovens out there. And if you want to make them better, put a Biscotto stone in, and you'll see the difference.
Okay. So, I mean, looking at the market, you are dealing with kind of a niche within a niche.
Correct.
So,
Well
okay.
said.
And
Yep.
how are things going? How's
Oh,
business?
we are a pure startup. So
Okay.
we've got inventory landing in a couple of weeks, and our manufacturing partner has been doing this in Europe for a long time.
Okay.
So there's nothing sort of new about the product, how it's manufactured. In fact, our partner, they provide the Biscotto stones for a relatively mainstream commercial pizza oven manufacturer whose name we cannot use.
Okay.
So this is very real.
Who shall not be named. Okay.
Who shall not be named. So we make lots and lots and lots of these things. And we are brand new in the United States.
Okay.
So this is like super exciting. So like we have a website, you can order, everything's functioning, and we have absolutely zero web traffic. And we haven't told the user groups, we haven't told anybody anything. We're like on the verge of lining up evaluation units.
So this is a kind of a scoop. Then we're scooping the pizza world with Biscotto.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Yes.
We're kind of at the forefront of the forefront. We're at the front of the line, James.
I know. Okay, but wait. Okay, so Ooni is a niche. Do I accept that? Yeah, Ooni's a niche, but God, their numbers are just ginormous. So there are millions of these things.
I must agree. I was I think I posted it. I think it just happened the other day. My cousin's wife commented on it. I had a picture of an Ooni. She said, "Oh, my brother just bought an Ooni." And these are the last people I would ever think would get an Ooni. So let's say it. Ooni is mainstream.
We can all tell Ooni stories. So we are between selling Forno Bravo and starting up this business, we spent most of our time in Europe. Just picture yourself walking around some tiny little Italian village in the Dolomites with a little brico store on the high street. And they had 2 Oonis in a box on the street outside the store, like they fully intended to sell them. And at which point you go, wow, this is really far.
Yep. No, it really has. And the other thing, I mean, I don't know how to put this, but because Ooni is so successful, whenever there's a successful product, you're going to get knockoffs because they say, "Oh, let me ride on the coattails." So, and I would just say, because the number of knockoffs for cheap pizza ovens is almost staggering. I mean, you walk into Walmart, you're going to Sam's Club, you're going to Costco, they're there, and it's amazing.
What does that make you think? Would you buy one? Would you? I'll tell you one thing it makes me think, and then you go. One thing it makes me think is I'm incredibly glad I'm not in that business. I mean, it's like it is a race to the bottom.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think you said it early on. Obviously, simply, you get what you pay for. If you're going to pay $200 for a pizza oven, maybe you're going to get a couple of pizzas out of it before it starts to disintegrate or break down or whatever. No, it's the same kind of thing. I mean, you get what you pay for. And if you're going to buy a cheap knockoff, you're just not, the results is going to speak for itself. And that's what I think. We'll use the Uzi or Gosney example, Ooni or Gosney example. You're going to have a pizza oven for a number of years, and
absolutely
end up.
And there's another way of thinking about it, which is that they make these things in ginormous quantities in ginormous factories. They make their records public. They're not like Apple or a high-tech company where their profit margins are just like astronomical. So to me, they are an efficient, low-cost producer. Okay. So if you're trying to sell something significantly less expensive than they are, you're doing it by making an inferior product.
Sure.
I think of Ooni as an efficient, high quality, high volume producer.
So, okay. But if you have an Ooni,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
James recommends get a biscotto
Yep.
because you're going to make a better pizza. It's, you know what, I'll tell you, it's kind of funny that you should say that. I just got an amazing email from a friend of my wife's who bought an Ooni. They live in Africa, believe it or not. They're
Right.
in the, I don't know if they're, I think they're in the Peace Corps or something. They bought an Ooni and they said, "Hey, Albert, every time we cook our pizza, it's burnt." And so I had a couple of, I said, well, make sure you get have a round peel that you can turn in the oven. Make sure you're using a thermal thermometer so you can check the temperature. But
Oh, yeah.
now I have to say,
I'm not
you
sure
don't
we're
want
going
your
to
pizza to
go to
burn?
Africa,
Get a
but
biscotto. We got the answer right here. We got the answer right here.
isn't that
That is
funny?
just fantastic.
All right, I got to say one more thing if we're heading toward wrap up. So the stones are, and this is important to me, the stones are stocked in Virginia. Shipping is free. You're not messing with customs. You're not messing with shipping calculators. And they're like guaranteed. Like, you return them, we give you your money back. We pay the return shipping. We want to be a very customer centric, customer friendly. We think we've got something that's going to make people happy.
Okay.
And I think by being very, I think being customer centric is, I don't want to sell something to you that's full of like caveats, may
Sure.
not fit, if cracked,
right.
it's your fault. If you use it wrong,
Okay.
you voided the warranty.
Sure. Sure.
We're going to be super easy to deal with. And I just think that's part of I do think that's part of the overall.
Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of carryover with the philosophy you had when you started Forno Bravo.
Yeah,
and, again, it kills me to think we're selling, Forno Bravo, we're selling pizza ovens. But listen, you want to build your own? We're going to give you a Pompeii. We're going to tell you how to do it. We're going to give you stuff.
Don't buy my oven. Don't buy my oven. Whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, just incredible. But the biscotto, you're saying, hey, we're all about the customer. You buy it, you don't like it, we're going to take it back for whatever reason. You're not making claims that are outlandish, but you are making claims from a true pizza guy such as yourself to not burn the bottom of your oven. I mean, the bottom of your pizza with your oven. So that sounds fantastic. Okay.
Stuff.
All right. Tell us how people can find you.
Right.
Where are we located?
Right. So we are located in Virginia. So everything will ship from Virginia.
Okay.
So if you're on the East Coast, we ship UPS ground. It takes, some number of days. The middle's, 3 to 5 days. The other coast is like a week. It's a web-based e-commerce business. So it's HTTP biscottodisorento.com.
Okay.
biscottodisorento.com. We've got an e-commerce store. So it's like dead simple to order. We do our best to process, and we are working with a sort of a state-of-the-art logistics partner, who their sole business is fulfilling e-commerce orders and getting stuff shipped around the United States. So our fulfillment center is like right next to a shipping hub in Virginia, so stuff shows up quickly.
Okay.
And when you place an order with us, we do our best to process it really quickly and get it into UPS, so that it shows up quickly.
Okay.
You don't want to live through that thing where you think it's your order and your e-commerce store didn't process it for.
Okay. That just sounds fantastic. And biscottodisorento.com. Check them out. If you have an Ooni or Gonzi or whatever you have, they got the answer. Gosney, whatever it is. And James, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking time to talk to me.
This was a lot of fun.